every day you say, I'll start tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. Hello, friends. Welcome to Speak English Time, where you learn English step by step through real conversations. And today, we're talking about why you feel stuck and how disciplined people actually start, even when they don't feel like it.
You know what most people get wrong about discipline? They think successful people feel motivated every day, but most of them don't even feel like starting.
That's kind of scary. It makes success feel cold, like there's no emotion in it.
It feels that way, yeah. But here's the truth. If discipline depended on motivation, no one would stay consistent. Motivation comes and goes. The moment you're tired or bored, it disappears.
That's exactly how I feel. Some days I just don't want to do anything. I keep waiting for that spark, but it never comes. And then I feel guilty.
That guilt is the trap. We think something is wrong with us. But even top performers feel the same. The only difference is they don't wait for feelings. They start anyway.
But how? If your mind is saying, don't do it, how do you move?
Because that feeling before starting, that resistance, it's normal. It's just your brain reacting. It's not a stop sign. It's just the starting shiver.
Okay, so if we aren't asking our feelings for permission, who are we asking? How do you actually move when your body says, stay in bed?
You move because of the architecture you built the night before. Successful people don't trust motivation. They trust systems. They don't wake up and ask, do I feel like working today? They just follow a script they wrote for themselves when they were feeling clear-headed.
I notice that when I miss one day of studying English, I start feeling heavy the next day. The decision to start feels 10 times harder because I've lost that rhythm.
That's because you're forcing your brain to use executive function to make a new choice every day. Making decisions is exhausting. It drains your willpower battery. This is why we need a routine. A routine is just a way of pre-deciding.
So if I decide once that 7 p.m. is English time, I don't have to argue with myself at 6:55?
Exactly. You kill the negotiation. When you remove the choice, you remove the struggle. You aren't deciding to study. You are simply following the architecture of your day. This leads us directly into how we actually handle those specific tasks without getting overwhelmed.
But even with a routine, the task itself can feel like a mountain. Even if the clock says 7 p.m., my brain sees a 2-hour study session and starts looking for an exit.
That's because your mountain is too steep. A disciplined person knows that a massive goal can paralyze you. This is where you have to think big but act small.
Explain that. Don't successful people have massive, world-changing goals?
They do. But they understand that you can't jump to the top of the stairs. You have to climb them one by one. If you say, I will be fluent in 6 months, your brain sees a monster and triggers a stress response. But if you say, I will read 1 sentence, your brain says, oh, I can do that. That's not a threat.
1 sentence? That feels almost like I'm cheating. It's so small, it's almost embarrassing.
That embarrassing smallness is your greatest weapon. It's the micro-win. Your brain doesn't fight small tasks, and here's the magic. Once you've read 1 sentence, the starting friction we talked about in Chapter 1 vanishes. Usually, you'll end up reading 5 pages. The small habit is just the Trojan horse that gets you past your own internal defenses.
I've spent my whole life trying to be intense. I go to the gym for 2 hours one day, and then I'm so sore I can't move for a week. I thought that was what hard work looked like.
That's the burnout loop. People value intensity because it feels dramatic. It makes for a good social media post. But intensity is a sprint. Consistency is a marathon. Success isn't an explosion. It's a slow, steady burn.
Consistency, not intensity. It's like a mantra.
Precisely. If you improve just 1% every day, you are 37 times better by the end of the year. If you go 100% for 3 days and then quit for a month, you actually regress. Discipline isn't about how hard you hit the ball. It's about how many times you show up to the plate.
So the goal isn't to have a perfect day of study, but to have a non-zero day.
Exactly. A non-zero day is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. Even if you only do 1 minute of work, you've kept the chain unbroken.
This is starting to make sense, but what happens when the non-zero day feels like a chore? How do we stop it from feeling like a burden we're dragging behind us?
You change your identity. Most people say, I'm trying to learn English. That implies it's a task outside of themselves, something they have to do. A disciplined person says, I am a student of English.
It sounds more permanent, like it's woven into my DNA.
It is. When it's your identity, you don't need a pep talk. You don't need a motivational video to brush your teeth, right? Why? Because you are a person who values hygiene. It's who you are.
I am someone who learns English every day. If I say that, then skipping a day feels like I'm betraying myself, not just breaking a rule.
Spot on. On your worst day, when you're exhausted or the world is falling apart, you don't have to do the full hour. You do 1 minute. You do it to prove to yourself that your identity is still intact. You are protecting the streak because the streak is proof of who you are.
You said earlier that discipline is peaceful. I always thought it was the opposite, loud, stressful, and aggressive.
The lack of discipline is what's loud. The guilt of not doing what you said you do is the loudest noise in the world. It follows you to bed. It ruins your weekends.
Wow, that's true. When I procrastinate, I'm not actually relaxing. I'm just stressed while doing nothing.
Exactly. That's fake rest. True peace comes from the alignment of your actions and your goals. When you follow your system, you can rest with a clean conscience. Discipline is the ultimate form of self-care because it saves your future self from the exhaustion of regret.
So, discipline isn't a cage, it's the key to the cage?
It's the only way to be truly free. You aren't a slave to your moods or your impulses anymore. You are the captain of the ship.
I'm starting to see it all now. The routine protects my energy. The small tasks help me start. Consistency builds the result, and identity keeps me going. It's all connected, right?
Exactly. It's like a loop. Each part supports the other. But here's the truth. None of it works unless you push the first domino.
And that first domino is today?
Not even today. It's right now. Most people keep waiting for Monday, for the perfect mood, for a fresh start. But that moment never really comes.
Yeah, I've done that so many times. I'll start tomorrow. And then I repeat the same thing again.
That's the trap. Discipline doesn't start when you feel ready. It starts when you feel unready, but you act anyway. Even one small step breaks that cycle.
So it doesn't have to be something big.
Never. In fact, smaller is better. Big goals create pressure. Small actions create movement, and movement creates confidence.
Then I'll start simple. I'm going to read just 2 pages of my English book. Not 20, just 2.
That's perfect, because you're not just reading, you're becoming someone who shows up every day.
That actually feels peaceful, not stressful.
That's what real discipline feels like. Quiet, steady, and powerful.
So now we want to hear from you. What's your one small step you're starting today?
Comment down below and tell us, even if it's just 1 minute. We'd love to see it.
And if this conversation helped you, don't forget to subscribe to Speak English Time.
Because here, you learn English step by step through real conversations.
Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next video.